Look, I get it. You just closed a major case. And things with your mother are complicated. And hey, you found the swordsman, and believe me, we are grateful and in no position to ask for a favor. But there's a killer taking us out one by one, so we need Cassandra Killjoy to get back to work. Did you know that for as long as the internet has been public, there have been rumors about a Real Monsters movie? Now, whether these rumors are fact or fiction, the only thing that we can say for sure is that they are most definitely legends of fandom. Happy Halloween, fanboys and fangirls, and welcome to Legends of Fandom, where we talk about the fanboy films and shows that almost happened. Today, we talk about one of the most legendary of the Legends of Fandom. But first, for those of you who don't know, long before Pixar's Monsters Incorporated was a multi-million-dollar franchise, there was Nickelodeon's Real Monsters, produced by the legendary animation studio Klasky Csupo, responsible for other hit shows like The Wild Thornberrys, Duckman, and The Rugrats. Real Monsters was created by writer-producer Peter Gaffney and Gabor Csupo himself, and followed three young monsters, Ickis, Crumb, and Oblina, as they attended Monster Academy, learned to scare, had their scares reviewed by their terrifying teacher, the Grumble, and learned valuable life lessons in the process. The series was a brilliant mix of horror, comedy, and brilliant social commentary. So if you were a fan of stuff like Beetlejuice the Animated Series or The Monster Squad, this was definitely the show for you. As good as it was, the series had a standard run of 52 episodes and ended just in time for Viacom to buy Paramount and Nickelodeon. So the legend goes like this, that in the late 90s, due to the massive success of the Rugrats, Klasky Csupo was asked to adapt yet another one of their hit shows into a feature film. Real Monsters was the best candidate, as it was one of Nickelodeon's biggest hits at the time, raking in good ratings in both daytime and primetime and moving massive amounts of merch. Initially, they intended to make a 60-minute made-for-TV movie that Nickelodeon would have aired as a special presentation and would have served as the series finale. But after it was upgraded to a feature, the running time was expanded to 90 minutes, and several subplots were added to the original script. Now, had Paramount moved forward with the movie, Real Monsters: The Big Scare would have been released in the fall of 1999, where it probably would have bombed miserably, as CG animated movies were all the rage at the time, and it would have ended up having to compete with Toy Story 2. But that's another story. And now for the most important question of this video. What would an Real Monsters movie be like? Well, thanks to many fan sites, we have at least a theory. The movie would have allegedly taken place during the days leading up to Ickis, Crumb, and Oblina's graduation from the Monster Academy, as they faced their final assignment, aka the Big Scare, which would have required them to scare a human who had never been scared before. The terrifying trio is specifically assigned an old hermit who lives alone in a mansion and would have more than likely been played by a celebrity with a really cool voice. But no matter what the monsters do, they just can't scare him. A big part of the reason behind the monsters' continuous failure is because they are thrown off their game by the sad fact that when they complete this assignment, they will graduate and be separated forever. A notion that is further exacerbated when Ickis and Crumb discover that Oblina has been offered the opportunity to replace the Grumble as the new headmistress of the Monster Academy once she graduates. Meaning that while Ickis and Crumb will be venturing out into the real world, Oblina will definitely not be coming with them. As all of this is going on, Simon, the monster hunter, played by the great Jim Belushi, discovers that the monsters keep frequenting the same house, and uses the opportunity to set a trap and capture Crumb and Oblina, so he can use the monsters to expose their existence to the world. This plot point would have gotten the Grumble and the rest of their friends from the Academy involved in the main story, in order to help save Crumb and Oblina and stop Simon. But what about the big scare? Eventually, Ickis would have discovered that the reason that the Hermit is never scared by conventional means is because he lost his wife and children to a fatal accident back when he was a young man. So, since he had already experienced the most frightening and terrible thing that any human being can experience, there is nothing that scares him anymore. With the lesson here being that Ickis and the others have been acting foolishly this whole time, as they are not losing each other forever. After they graduate, they can visit each other and spend time together anytime they want. In Ickis, the Hermit sees a kindred spirit, this very socially awkward little creature who is terrified of losing his loved ones to the very real threat that is the Monster Hunter. So not having the heart to see Ickis go through the same loss that he went through, the Hermit would have helped Ickis save his friends and defeat the Monster Hunter. But even after the day is saved, our three heroes would still have to face the judgment of the Grumble without their assignment being completed. But there's a twist. While the monsters didn't scare the Hermit via conventional means, through the love and loyalty that they have towards one another, the Hermit vicariously felt the exact same feelings of fear and loss that he experienced all those years ago when he lost his family. So the Grumble considers the assignment fulfilled, and our heroes graduate. And thus, the movie would have ended with a beautiful montage that would have seen the Hermit leaving his house for the first time in decades and venturing out to explore the world. Simon being taken back to the loony bin where he belongs, and Ickis, Crumb, and Oblina getting their diplomas and going their separate ways, but not before promising that they will all see each other again one day. And now for the second most important question of this video. Why didn't this happen? Well, this is when the story gets really crazy, you see, because nobody can agree as to why this project was canceled or that this project even existed. According to a former Paramount executive, the movie was deemed too dark, and they were looking for something more comedic and fun. So the project was taken back to the drawing board. But when Viacom bought Paramount, the project was just forgotten about and it faded away. But with every passing year, we see contradictions to that claim. A Wikipedia post that has since been deleted quoted an alleged Klasky Csupo animator named Frederick Sawaski claiming that the movie wasn't dark and that what killed the project was the Viacom takeover. But here's the real kicker. There is no one named Frederick Sawaski listed on any of the Our Real Monsters credits. In 2016, Arlene Klasky and Gabor Csupo themselves were answering fan questions live on the official Klasky Csupo Facebook page when they were asked point blank about the big scare, to which they simply responded, no such movie ever went into production. Which technically we already knew. What we want to know is, was any such project ever commissioned? Were any of the plot elements that I mentioned earlier real? Tell us, damn it! And last but not least, legendary animator Fred Seibert, who has worked on many animated projects for both Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, was asked at a panel if he knew anything at all about the big scare. He said that while he was unaware of any such movie, projects of that level generally are on a need-to-know basis, and maybe he just didn't need to know. And as far as he was concerned, the only Klasky Csupo property that Paramount had any interest in adapting into a movie was the Rugrats. So much so that Klasky Csupo actually had to convince their bosses to greenlight the Wild Thornberrys movies. So the question still remains, did Our Real Monsters The Big Scare actually exist or not? And if it didn't, then where did all this information come from? My personal theory is that a lot of this information was born simply from the love of the fans. Because sometimes when a show ends, it is kept alive by just the sheer immeasurable love of the fan base. And if by chance this video is the first time you're hearing of The Real Monsters, you might want to go over to Paramount Plus and give the show a watch. If anything, you'll at least see why so many people are so passionate about it that they will create a movie that may or may not exist. But what do you think? Do you still want an All Real Monsters movie, or are you happy with this one just remaining a legend? Let me know in the comment section below, as we have once again reached the end of this video. So, do you know of any fanboy films or shows that almost happened or are legends? Let me know at erod@inbox.com. And who knows, your suggestion might just end up being the topic of the next Legends of Fandom. Until then, I'm Erod, and I'm the Blockbuster Buster.